Welcome back to the Future Jobs Podcast. I'm your host Fahad JobsWala, and today we are diving into a conversation on leadership, business growth, and what it truly takes to develop lasting success. Our guest is Mr. George, CEO of Arita Media Associates and a proud member of the John Maxwell leadership team. He is a leadership expert and business development strategist who helps entrepreneurs and organizations grow with purpose, clarity, and integrity. In this episode, we'll explore what drives real business development, how great leaders are built, and the timeless principles that turn vision into action. Let's get started. This is going to be an inspiring one. So, hey, Waylee, how are you? And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for that. Again, my name is Waylee George. I live in Atlanta, Georgia, but I'm originally from a small country in Africa called Liberia in West Africa. You know, when I was in the seventh grade, when I was a little boy, about 10 years old, I read a quote from Thomas Jefferson, and he said, "We must dream of an aristocracy of achievement arising out of a democracy of opportunity." When I read that quote, it resonated with me. And so I began to tell all my friends and my family that I was going to go to America because I wanted democracy of opportunity. The meaning of democracy, which is freedom. So in my own mind, I envisioned that opportunity was free and flowing in America. And so I wanted to come to the United States so bad that I began to visualize myself in America. I carried that dream with me up until I graduated from high school and I came from my village to go to school. Now, in my village, the company Firestone had established the company there, and my father worked for Firestone. And because my father worked for Firestone, I was able to get free education. And the books that we used in the school were American books. That's why I was able to read that quote in one of my history books. I think it was social studies books, but I also double as literature. So we used to read through it. Anyway, so I came to the city and I joined the immigration forces because in Liberia, to go to school, you must have food and different means of making it. So most of us, when we come to go to college, we go to school as a hybrid. You work and you go to school. So I joined the immigration service. So as an immigration officer, I work and then I'll go to school. I work and go to school. Then something happened in Liberia. There was a coup. I don't know if you know what a coup is. It's the overthrow of the government. And so when I was growing up, I don't know if I told you this, but I had a really big mouth. I used to write against the government. I used to talk against the government. A lot of the people that I worked with that knew that I would challenge the government. And I was young, but I was feisty. So when this coup happened, among the people that were arrested, I was. They arrested me and charged me with treason and threw me in jail. So I was in there. They were killing people every day and killing all my friends. But I remember something clearly, and I believe that's how I got out. Although there's a saying that it was Ronald Reagan, because at the time Ronald Reagan was president here in the United States. So he wrote a letter, and we were able to get free because Reagan threatened our president that if he didn't let us out, he was going to send the Marines. That was the word. But I remember one day I was reading my Bible and I got to Matthew, the sixth chapter. I would never forget, ever forget that verse. Matthew 6 6. It said, "Do not be like the hypocrites. They love to go on street corners and pray so that they may be seen by men. But when you pray, go to your closet, and your Father who sees you in secret will reward you publicly." And as soon as I read that, that was the very day they called me. And when they call you out, there are one of two things that's going to happen. They're either going to go kill you or they're going to free you. But that day, it was my lucky day. They didn't take me to kill me. They took me before a military tribunal. And after investigation that very day, they released me to go back to work. The following morning, I got a call and they told me to go down to the American Embassy. Long story short, whatever the date at the embassy, but that by Friday, I found myself on a plane, on a 747 jet coming to the United States of America. Now, why did I tell this story? Going way back when I was 10 years old, I had a vision of coming to. Have you ever had a vision about what you wanted to do or a dream about what you wanted to do and held on to it? That vision that I had when I was a kid, at 10 years old, and I held on to it and told everybody that I was going to the United States, although I didn't know how, materialized when I sat on that plane coming to the United States of America. Now, I believe it was God that led me out of there. I believe God had a purpose for me. And so when I came to the United States and I enrolled in college and started going to school, my very first job that I got was to be a broadcaster on the radio station. Now, I became a broadcaster because I was sitting in class. I was studying journalism. I always wanted to write. So I was in class one time and my professor was Thomas Cunningham. Cunningham asked a question on the inverted pyramid. It has to do with writing. So I raised my hand to answer the question. And when I answered the question on the inverted pyramid, Cunningham stared at me for the longest and said, Mr. George, do you work at campus radio station? And I was looking around. I said, me? He said, yeah. At the time, there was no black person on the radio at my school. And so he asked me that question, and I said, no. He said, well, you should. You should work at campus radio station because you have the voice for it. And the guy that sat next to me in class, I'm not going to say his name because, but he told me that Cunningham was trying to make a fool out of me because I would embarrass myself if I went to the radio station. Of course, he was Jewish, he was white, right? And so, and I said to him that don't you think I want to make a fool out of myself? Because I want to take him on. I'm going to the radio station and I'm going to try to get on there. And he worked at the radio station. The guy that was sitting next to me was on the radio. So he said, well, if you want to make a fool out of yourself, I'll take you to the station. So I said, okay. So after class, he wanted to run away from me. Nah, I ran after him. I said, man, you say you was going to take me to the radio station. Why don't you do that? He said, oh, you serious? You want to make a fool out of you? I said, yes, I do. So he takes me to the radio station, and we met another guy who was older than both of us, and he was a junior, and we were freshmen. So he was the program director at the radio station, and he was white too, of course. But this don't have anything to do with color. It's just what the circumstances were. And so he told the guy that I wanted to get on the radio, and they both laughed. And after they got through laughing, I said, well, he asked me, do you want to get in the radio? I said, yeah, I do. He said, do you have experience? I said, no, but that's what I'm in school. This is where you learn how to do things. So I don't really think I need experience to go get in the radio. I want to learn how to be a broadcaster. I'm studying journalism already. So he said, okay. So the both of them take me into the studio and they took me into the production room where we had the mixer board and everything. And they put the headset, just like the headset you got to put the headset on me, and said, say something. And I said, say what? He said, just say anything. And I looked up and I saw the call letters of the radio station. So I leaned into the microphone and I said, WTYL, Bucks County Community College Radio. And the other guy who was the program director, he said, damn. He said, I've been looking for somebody to do jazz on this radio. And I think I found my guy. That would be you. Starting Thursday, your show comes on at 12 o'clock and I want you to prepare for it. Now tell me this is not God working because I go and get on the radio, right? I prepare myself and I'm scared. Don't get me wrong. I am really terrified that I'm going to do this, but I went and did it anyway. So I get on the radio my first day and I started playing music because I had an idea of how to do it. I already had an idea, but I've never done it before physically. So I get on the radio, and about 3 minutes after the beats play, I get into my introduction, and I started to feel good. I started to feel relaxed. Started running my show within 15 minutes, and I looked outside because the studio was all glass. You know, you can see outside, you can see people. And I looked outside, and then there was a huge crowd. They wanted to know who was on the radio. And I looked at that, and everyone was putting him because no one knew me, hardly knew me on campus until then. And so after I did my show, I come out and everybody high fiving me. Willie Mack, Willie Mack. They start calling my name because my full name is Waylee George. And so my radio name was Willie Mack. And so did Willie Mack. Within within 3 days to a week, I was one of the most popular guys on campus. And I loved it. And so, and I started to go on the radio. I was enjoying it. I was feeling myself, feeling good about myself. Air one day, and I get a phone call from a guy named Stanley Earl Jordan. He was program director of one of the biggest radio stations in Philadelphia. Calls me. He said, Willie Mack. I said, who is this? He said, it's Stanley Earl Jordan. I said, okay. I didn't know who he was. He said, I'm the program director of WDS. I said, oh man. He said, I want to have lunch with you. I said, me? He said, yeah. He said, I said, but I'm in school, man. He said, when do you get out of class? And I told him, he said, well, I'll pick you up on campus and we'll go do lunch. A whole new career was born for me. I served on many radio stations after that. And I even rose to the ranks of operations manager for one radio station and general manager for another radio station. So when I became general manager, I started to take the radio station's money to the bank every month. I have to take the money and deposit it in the bank. And I saw how much money the radio station was making and how much they were paying me. I wanted to get my own company. I decided to start my own business. And so I got up one morning and went down to the city hall to get a business license. So I get there to get a business license. They said, well, do you have a business plan? I said, no. I said, well, they said, we can't give you a business license unless you have a business plan. So I said, how do I go about getting a business plan? They said, well, you have to go down to the college, which was Clinton State University. Well, at the time it was Clinton State College. Now it's Clinton State University. So they say you go to college, you go to the SBA, the Small Business Administration Office, and they'll help you get a business plan. So I said, okay. So I go there, and they give me a stack of paper about this big to go and do a business plan. And the business plan, it was operational plan, marketing plan, financial plan. It was like business plan for a major corporation. And I didn't know where to start. So they just gave me this stack of paper. I take it home. I didn't know where to start. So I looked at it and I got tired. I just put it down. I said, man, I'm not going into business. I can't do this. So it lay there, it lay dormant for about a month or two. And I said, well, no, I got to do business. So I said, I'm going to get me a lawyer. So I went to a lawyer to help me do a business plan, and he charged me $10,000. I didn't have $10,000. So he said, $10,000 do a business plan. I got mad, slammed the door, and walked out. And said, man, I don't care nothing about business, man. I'm going to let it go. Another 2 months passed. So computers Computers had just come out. And so I had a computer. So I'm playing on it, and I don't know what I clicked. And they say, if you want to get a business, you go down to the Secretary of State office and you can get a business started. I dropped everything, put on a white shirt and tie, put on a suit, and I went down to the Secretary of State office. And when I got there, I was a little embarrassed. So the girl that was sitting in the front desk, I said, can I ask you a dumb question? She said, there is no dumb question. Just ask your question. I said, how do I go about starting a business? She said, you got $35? I said, $35. She said, yes. If you don't have it, you can write a check. I said, really? She said, yeah. So I have more. I think I had like $150 in my pocket. I gave her $35. She gave me one sheet of paper. She said, write your name here, sign here, and sign here. And I did that. And she gave me a certificate of incorporation. That day, Ariti Media Associates Inc. was born. That was in 2001, April 27, 2001. Ariti Media Associates was born. And I walked out of there and didn't know what to do with a piece of paper. She gave me the paper. I'm looking at it. I got a corporation. I didn't know what to do with it. Because all the only business I wanted to start was a desktop publishing business. Just a little desktop publisher where I can make greeting cards and stuff like that to make money. But now she gave me the corporation. So, not, and I also still had the stack of papers that I got from the SBA office. So I take it home and I began to go through the stack of papers and started to do research based on the questionnaires that were in the paper. I was able to build an operational plan for Ariti Media. I was able to build a financial plan for Ariti Media. I was out of those papers. I was able to build, and then I knew I had access to just about anything I needed. And I realized one thing: that information is power. If you have the necessary information to build anything, it's going to take a while, but you can build any business you want because every business has the same components. Every business, the same core components. I don't care what industry it is. If you can satisfy those core components, financial, marketing, operational, and administration. If you can certify those core components, you can build a multi-billion-dollar business. And I struggled. It would take me years. It would take me, oh, I didn't tell you this. So I was playing on the computer, and the company called Cisco Systems, they put out a thing that they have 4 different tests that you had to take. If you could pass each one of those tests, you become a partner of the company. So my first business partner was Cisco Systems. And all I had to do for Cisco was hire Cisco certified people who were certified through Cisco System, and post them at the state of Georgia to work. I had 35 people working for me at the state of Georgia. They were all Cisco certified. They were engineers. They were CCDAs. You know, but I mean, big time. They were making money. People make $56 an hour, $75 an hour. Those people were working for my company. The state were paying me, and I was paying them. So I carried that for a while. I would play golf, and I thought I had arrived. Man, listen, man, I don't need my company is an IT company. I'm an IT consultant, and I never went to school for IT. In the process, I learned how to build websites. I partnered with Yahoo. I was on a Yahoo platform. I was building sites. I was doing all kinds of things I was enjoying life, right? But then I wasn't fulfilled because the calling that God put on my life is not for me to be wealthy, but for me to be a steward. of the wealth that God gave me. God wants me to steward whatever He gave me and provision it to His children around the world. So I have a new mission today. My new mission is to bring peace to everyone that crossed my path and add value to them. Whatever value it is, whatever business the person wants to develop, any kind of business that they want to develop, my job is to point them in a way, whether it's marketing, whether it's administration, whether it's acquisition, if I can acquire them, build them up, do whatever it is for them to be successful. That's my message. I want to build people up. I want to build as many people up, create new millionaires every year, every day, every second, every chance I get to meet somebody and change their life for the better. That's my mission and that's my goal. So basically, that's me. That's about it for me. Is there any question you got for me?
Wonderful. That's really wonderful, Whaley. I'm just kind of a speechless. Your story is super inspiring, and yeah, that's what we all want. A wisdom from someone who is very experienced. And yeah, exactly. So you're part of the John C. Maxwell leadership team. What's the
I
most
jump
powerful leadership principle you've personally lived by?
perseverance. Perseverance, you got to be resilient. You don't take no for an answer. You want something, you go get it. Perseverance. The key strength that a person can carry. Anybody can be brilliant, but it takes courage to achieve your goal. And perseverance brings hope. Every day, see yourself at achieving one little thing. No matter how hard it seems, no matter how gloom it seems, persevere. Visualize your goal and go for it because you can do it. I always say to people that the kingdom of God is within you. A lot of time people want to see, God don't even like for people to beg him for anything. He said, whatever you want, I've already given you. Be of good courage and go get it. I've empowered you. And so one of the most of what I want people to learn is that when you want something, go get it. Don't let nothing stop you. I was 10 years old when I said I'm coming to the United States, and I held on to that vision. Where am I today? Dream big, man. When I saw that you in your bio, when I read, one of the things that impressed me with you, Fahad, when I read you say, I want to be a millionaire, you speak those things as if they already are. That's what you want to be. And I promise you, you're a 15-year-old. I promise you, you will be a millionaire. You will be. You'll probably be much more than a millionaire. I promise you. I like that. Any other
Thank you so
question?
much, Whaley. Yeah, there's like questions, uh, and because when someone who is, as I mentioned, our experience and someone who really wants to share something is sitting, you know, in the front of you, so you have an opportunity and you have to grab it. So,
Yeah.
what's one mistake you often see entrepreneurs make when trying to scale their business?
Uh, well, that's a mistake I made myself. I don't know if trying to scale the business, but we are afraid, as entrepreneurs, we're afraid to let other people in because, and I've done that because you see it as a guarded secret. Not until I learned that what God has given me It's really not for me, it's his, it's God's. He just let me, because he trusted me to be a steward of it. You see, most entrepreneurs fail to understand that you don't have anything, you're not indispensable. You're just a steward of what God bless you with. And the way to keep that is to share it. That's the mistake most entrepreneurs make in scaling them. If I share with you, you a podcaster. If I give to you, you give to me. Because we're interdependent. We're interdependent. It takes teamwork. I was looking this morning, preparing for you, and I was reading something that, hold on one second. I know I came across it, and hold on. There you go. And I was reading on workforce management, right? And I realized that workforce management is only three aspects of it. Only three: resource planning and allocation, skills management, team and organization management. Team. And I had to go back. I had to look back when I first started. What made me an expert in this? You remember that stack of paper that I told you about that they gave me? What I learned from it was because I organized based on that stack of paper. That was my outline. And one of the things I wrote down as I was looking preparing for you today, and I said, well, okay, we're looking for the jobs of the future. So let me go to workforce management, right? So I go to workforce management, I go to my workforce management notes, and I realized that, yeah, I remember it's only three things I had to do within workforce management: resource planning and allocation, skills management, the people that I got from Cisco systems are telling me about how to manage their skills, but the key was team and organization management. Teamwork makes the dream work. If you don't have a team, you can't do it all by yourself. And so, in scaling the business, one of the things that the mistakes that entrepreneurs make is that they don't encourage team organization. They don't. That's something I need to teach them. Thank you for reminding me.
Exactly. Wonderful. One thing I want to, because of the name of the podcast, people believe that it is only all about the future and the future of jobs and something like that. So, like, it's more than that. It's about the uncovering the amazing life journeys people have, like you, because we don't know what inside a person who is in the front of you. We just see a person sitting there, where we don't know what the person has faced in the past, what the person is, what the person have, like wisdom. So that is something which my podcast has, and I'm glad that I'm able to invite some amazing guests like you to uncover those amazing journeys. So if you could leave one message for every young professional listening, what would that leadership message be?
Well, again, the message would be along the lines of the jobs of the future. A lot of times you hear people talk about AI, right? Artificial intelligence. I mean, it's all over the. But I want to tell you something. Artificial intelligence been around for as long as there have been electronics. Because I remember way back, General Motors. I was doing a project over at General Motors where they build cars. They had robots. The robots, artificial intelligence, nothing more than automation. That's what it is. And automation has been around for as long as they had uh, programmable PLC, programmable logic control. And so don't let anybody fool you that AI is going to take work from you. I would learn, if I was a young person, I would learn how to automate the functions of business. Today, that's where I am. All the business functions that I learned, the marketing and administration, all of those things can be automated. That's what they want to change the name from robotics, which was back in the day to build robots, to automation. Now they're saying AI. It's the same thing. The same thing. Learn automation. Learn automation because that's the job of the future. There's one thing, you want to be a leader, don't be afraid to learn new things every day. Study. Because as old as I am right now, I'm learning still. I'm studying. To come on your podcast today, I had to go back and study. I had to study so that I'm not wasting your time, so that I come here with something tangible. Because my mission, again, is to add value to people, to bring peace to everyone that cross my path and add value to them. Whatever value I add, it could be financial value or it could be wisdom, it could be something. But I want to add value to the people I talk to. So the one thing I need you to do, learn automation. You'll be better in the future.
Exactly. You're very right. People are still spreading the misinformation like yeah, it's gonna take your jobs, yeah, it's gonna take your work. But
Yeah.
right now, it's still in at this date, no one is jobless because of AI. Even though AI is helping them, uh, they're more free of work. Like they're still doing their jobs, but with the help of AI. AI is like an assistant for them, assisting them in their jobs and the works. But we're still not, you know, uh, we're still not considering AI a helpful tool for us. So it is really a thing that we have to think about and that we have to consider. So thank you so much, Waylee George, for coming on the show, for giving me a precious time and enlightening this podcast even more. And it was pleasure meeting you. And there's still a lot of things about you. And I'll try to resume this podcast once again. Record another episode with you on your journey and on another amazing topic. So it was pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you, Fayad. Will I be able to get a copy of this or go see it on YouTube or something?
Yeah, you will. I will send you after this live will end. So thank you so much, guys, for listening to this amazing, wonderful episode of the Future Jobs podcast. I hope you like it. If you like it, subscribe to the channel and hit the like button. And don't forget to hit the bell icon so that you can watch every episode of the podcast. So thank you so much. Inshallah, meet you soon with another amazing podcast with another amazing guest. Till then, stay peace and take care of yourself.